everyone, welcome back to the Violet Hour. I'm Bilicium, and today we are actually going to try and get all of the bad endings. I'm not going to read through all of the story if you guys want to see that. I have the full game, episode 1 through 8, I believe. Yeah, episode 1 through 8, where I read through all of the dialogue and the different stories and everything. But in this episode, we have a very specific mission, which is to try and get all bad endings to see if one, just to see all of the bad endings, because we saw 2 of the bad endings and I felt like they were both quite good. But we didn't get to see the rest of them, and now I'm curious. But also I want to see if overall, if that has an effect on the end of the game. So is there like a good ending, a great ending, and a bad ending? Is there just a good and a bad ending? I'm kind of curious, and instead of looking it up online, I wanted to just play through and get all the bad endings, see if that affects the very end of the game. Also, I'm going to put in, either in the beginning or the end of the video, the gallery like extras that we got for completing the game. I felt like that might be kind of nice to showcase, and then any other little tidbits. This will be heavily edited, so a lot of this will get cut out. I figured I'd just bring you in for the beginning of the game while I explained what our plan is and what we're doing. I'm quite excited. I'm hoping that I can kind of speed run through a majority of this because I don't have to read it. And also because I've already experienced it, I kind of know what like the good choices are, bad choices, and bad endings obviously should be a lot easier than good endings, right? Right. So that is the goal, and I'm going to cut out a bunch of stuff, and I'll bring you back when I have something a little more interesting. All right. So as you can see, Mary did not like me just accepting my demise. So it looks like, I'm gonna bump up my volume a little bit. It looks like you can actually just outright end game by accepting your fate and telling Mary you're just waiting for death, which is interesting. But obviously she wants you to fight to struggle on and suffer. So yeah, so Mary doesn't like it if you are just willing to accept that you're gonna die and just basically turn in for the night and be like, all right, well, I'm dying. Which I think is funny because I feel like they could have done it to where the door knock happens anyways and it wakes you up in your dead sleep and you're just like, no, leave me alone. And it's like, no, there's somebody downstairs. And then you go downstairs and be like, Papa, there are more victims. I feel like that would have been an interesting approach. But the game over makes sense too, because Mary basically at that point is like, all right, well, I'm just going to eat you then. All right, everyone, I'm bringing you back for the first fight. I'm probably going to keep in a few things that happened before now and put them in just to show you, because there were a couple of interesting things that I don't think I caught the first time around. But for this fight, we are going to use Mo so that we're successful, quote unquote. And I've already shown, if you choose the other character, that basically it's just a game over no matter what you try to do. With Mo, however, you can successfully defeat Hanahiko. So my goal is that I want to get to the final stage of the battle, but at the very end, instead of, I guess, being merciful and giving him the lipstick, I am going to choose an alternative route. I'm not 100% sure what my alternative route's going to be. We're going to kind of just feel it out as we go. But pretty much everything else should be the wrong answer. You won't be so lucky next time. What are you talking about? Oh. I'm a bit nervous about doing this because I'm afraid that I'm gonna mess it up, but I don't think there's too awful much I can mess up at this point. Fingers and toes crossed. So we know we want to use the plastic sheet and the wire umbrella. Yes. This should be able to block the thorns. What the heck is that? The umbrella's in my way. Yeah. So he can't get me. So once again, we are going to go like so. Yes. Yep. Okay, now that he's in the final stage. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to use the salt water. Right? And then I guess maybe the flare. We're gonna see if that works. Bilicium throws the salt water at Hanahiko. The vines hit with the salt water quickly stop moving. In the hazy darkness, I can see Hanahiko's face twisting in pain. How mean. Are you going to tease me now too, mister? He starts sniffling as if he's about to cry. He looks weakened. Defeating a weakened spirit by using specific items. Choose based on the information you gather. You only have one chance. Think carefully. Mo lights the flare on fire. We light the flare and shove it into Hanahiko's chest. His body bursts into flames and his face twists in pain. I'm so sorry, Hanahiko. Eventually he turns to ash, blown away by the wind until nothing remains of him. Oh, that hurts my heart. I'm not gonna lie. I don't see Hanahiko anymore. Did we win? Seriously? Yeah. Kinda hard to believe, but it looks like we did. Mister, my mark has disappeared. Mo cheers as she studies her leg. Her mark has been burned into her right thigh. Oh, what about yours? Oh yeah, my right hand. Nope, I still got it. Why hasn't it gone away? Sorry, mister. It's almost dawn. Am I going to die? So this is where you've been. My head suddenly stops feeling fuzzy and my mark was gone. Looks like you did it. Oh, we did it all right. We did something. Let's head back. Maybe Mary knows something. Yeah, you're right. Come on, mister. Let's go. Mo leads me away. Oh, Mo. Huh? Mo is digging through her bag. Oh no, my wallet's missing. Maybe I dropped it earlier. Her glance back at the school is confirmed, but you're definitely more important right now. We gotta hurry and get back. Go on. Huh? Just make sure you're back in 5 minutes. Go get 'em moving. Right, thanks. Mo rushes back to the school by herself. No buddy system in place. Mo shrinks in the distance until they disappear inside the building. A biting cold wind whips past me. It's coming from the school. That's not normal, especially for the start of summer. The wind dies down and out of nowhere I get a real bad feeling. Should I have let Mo go back inside? "5 minutes pass. Mo isn't back yet. Idiot. This is no time to dawdle. We better check." I step inside and go down the right hallway. I make it all the way in front of the room where we fought Hanahiko, but I don't see Mo anywhere. Strange. This should be the place. The mark throbs again. I feel a presence down the hall. I hear something over by the mirror. I better go check it out. The mirror is stained scarlet. Binoculars lie in a sea of blood. That looks familiar. Like Mo's. I only have vague memories of what happened after that. I think Masha and I both let out anguished screams and dashed out of there. Next thing I know, I'm back at the car like I've been trying to escape. Welcome back. My mark's gone, so that must mean you beat Hanahiko, right? You're pretty amazing. Huh? What's wrong? You're not smiling. And what about Miss Mo? Don't tell me you didn't find her. No, we found her. But then, she died. What? Are you saying? Tell me exactly what happened. How the hell should I know? And Bilicium's mark hasn't disappeared either. God damn it. It's all beyond me. Hey, Bilicium. I'll find the pipsqueak in. I'll fill the pipsqueak in. You go hear what Mary has to say. Welcome back, Lord Bilicium. It appears that you overcame your fear and destroyed the spirit. But there was a victim. Yeah, we beat Hanahiko, but what happened to Mo? Unfortunately, the spirit's festering grudge was not cleared away. That grudge then stole the life of one who killed it, Mo. So the spirit got revenge? Normally grudges killing people be impossible, but then why was only Mo killed? With that kind of logic, I should have been. I can offer a logical reason. The vanquished spirit could only affect those it gave the mark to. In other words, your mark was likely not given by Hanahiko. I'm suddenly lightheaded, the world fading. I'd risked my life during that investigation, and it was completely useless to me. I guess all that's left is waiting for dawn and my death. Lord Bilicium? If it is all right with you, would you mind showing me your mark? I hold my arm out toward Mary. Her neck shifts slightly as she stares at the mark. It is as I thought. It is only a minuscule fraction, but the fate I sense from this mark has been distorted. What does that mean? Is it because I beat Hanahiko? The flame of your life was indeed fading at one point, but it has now become brighter. Are you saying I'm not going to die at dawn? That is correct. My sigh of relief is so deep it feels like my soul is escaping my body. The mark's still burning on me, but it seems I'll be okay for now. It appears the mark you bear is different from the ones I know of, but there is no doubt that it was given to you by a spirit. Then, there are other spirits like Hanahiko that give people marks? Yes. Oh, all right, so this is all pretty much the same. So I will bring you back when I have yet more new information, or I guess maybe the next fight, really. So interestingly enough, previously the options were I'm grateful, I'd prefer Sutskase, I can't pronounce his name, and then Mo. And now I don't have the option of Mo, so I wanted to bring you back to show you that's different. I said I'm grateful in the past, so I'm going to say that I prefer the other person. You want to take advantage of him? I'll hit you with child abuse. He's got a bad mouth as usual. His true intentions aside, I have to say I'm honestly grateful for his help. My amnesia could hit without warning, so I can't go out whenever I want. He's been going around gathering information in my place. I saw some people from the force. Still no ruckus over H Elementary. Okay, so this is all the same. But yeah, I wanted to bring you back for that. Alright, now we're back with Shimio to try and get the good bad ending. The good bad ending. You know what I'm saying, right? Okay, so with him, we want to use stinky liquid and tennis ball. Yes. I pour the stinky liquid over the tennis ball and throw it. Shimio incites the bees. The bee cloud rushes at the ball. They must be reacting to the smell of the liquid on them. The bee swarms the ball. They look like it's a dense black cloud. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. This is what we want to see. All right, we're gonna go stinky liquid baseball. Yes. I pour the stinky liquid over the baseball and throw it. Once again, the bees are distracted. Yes? Yes. Okay, beautiful. It was effective too. Ah, look at that beautiful face. All right, now we are going to be, good morning, baseball bat. Yes. Spray good morning. I spray Shimio with the drug and it hits him with the baseball. And hit him with the baseball bat. Shimio is wounded. All right. A cut opens up on his giant body and a bittersweet smell liquid pours out. Oh, I am not a traitor. Shimio bends over backwards, moaning. Liquid sprays from the holes in his body. Shimio falters, and he comes back for another round. So we're gonna go good morning, baseball bat. Yes, we're gonna do it again, sir. Because you did not learn your lesson in life, we're gonna teach it to you in the afterlife. Oh yeah. Shimio wreathes in pain, his body jiggling. No, I don't want to wake up. Shimio hollers in pain as he gets hit, but it doesn't seem to be enough to beat him. Shimio is weakened. Shimio is clearly weakened. Now's the time to finish him off. Alright, so we want to do the large bottle of Night Night and the large bottle of Sweet Dreams. Yes. I try to pour the two drugs over Shimio. I pour the two medicines over him. As they mix together, they begin to bubble, reacting violently with each other. Shimio looks up amid the poisonous fumes as if trying to gasp for breath. But he's unable to escape the gas, and the forest shakes as he wails his deathly cry. Sorry, Shimio. Sorry, Shao. At last, his huge body crumbles to the ground, and his movement ceases. His honey-covered drill rattles as it rolls across the ground. I don't sense Shimio anymore. Ha! Serves you right. Shao is back to normal. His mark appears to have vanished. Mine is still there. The Shimio wasn't the one who gave it to me. But I kind of figured that'd be the case. From what I can tell, when mark bearers confront the spirit that cursed them, they suffer extreme memory loss. That's why Shao was acting strangely. I, myself, didn't have any problem, so Shimio wasn't the right spirit. Something is lying on the path. It's a small notebook. The cover's wet. The light of the flashlight makes it glitter. It could be honey. Did this belong to Shimio? Where did he hide this? Okay, now I really don't feel like touching it. Damn, that's gross. All yours, old man. It seems Xiao has absolutely no intention of picking it up. I give up and I bend down to grab it. Flipping through the pages, it appears to be a diary. The dark'll make it tough to read. Let's take a look when we get back. I want to beat a retreat out of here ASAP. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you right. We carefully retrace our steps back to the entrance so we don't get lost. Without warning, the light dies. Hey, what are you trying to pull? Don't mess with me like this. It's not me. What's going on? It won't respond. An icy cold shiver runs down my spine. I'm suddenly overwhelmingly afraid, like the dark forest is trying to absorb my body. If I could just get the light back on, if we just had it back, I'd feel so much better. I hit the switch repeatedly, silently praying. The light isn't coming back on. Pain! My mark is throbbing. That noise! Hey, old man! Now would be a really great time to get that light on! The mark is searing pain, but I struggle to keep hitting the flashlight switch. What happened? Did I faint? My head's foggy. The light suddenly comes back on. What? Where's Xiao? Hey, Xiao? I hear ragged breathing, like that of a beast, from a bush close by. I try to head toward it, but my legs won't cooperate. I'm frozen in place. The sound of a human being destroyed. A maniacal laugh brimming with joy. A man's death cry. Move, legs. I force them into motion and head in the direction of the voice. There I find no one. But between the broken branches, beneath the trees, and the disturbed dirt, someone had finally been there. After that, I search the forest until the sky begins to brighten, but I don't find Xiao. Exhausted, I drag my body to the car and collapse from helplessness. The whole ride back to Cujo Mansion, my ears ring with the horrible buzzing of bees. You're finally back. Looks like you were successful, too. The mark's gone. Well, mine is, at least. My mark is still there. What does this mean? Christy is hysterical, clutching her hand. What the? Hey, Bilicium? What happened to the kid? Don't tell me. Mashita glare feels like it hit. His face thunderous like a demon. All I can do is nod. Damn it. No, you can't mean. I was sure we'd killed Shimio. But when the flashlight went out, I know the voice I heard was his. Was the spirit getting revenge like Hanehiko did? Welcome back, Lord Bilicium. It appears that you overcame your fear and destroyed the spirit. But there was another victim. This is likely upsetting for you, but take comfort in the fact Lord Mashita's mark has vanished. A question. I get why my mark didn't go, but why hasn't Christie's? I thought she got it from Shimio. The hypothesis is then incorrect. What I mean to say is, another spirit must have given her her mark. I don't want to believe it, but it's true. Christy hadn't been in her right mind when we met. It's definitely possible that she hadn't realized she had it already. Lady Christy received her mark fairly recently. Her memory is currently unaffected. But if she were to come into contact with the spirit that cursed her, her amnesia may accelerate, so please exercise care. Her amnesia would get worse. That would explain Xiao's strange behavior before we fought Shimio. Take her picture. All right. So we are now with what is her name? Hanayumi, I believe. Hanayumi? Hanayuki? I think it's Hanayumi. I'm not excited about this one. Listened often, dear. I'm sure you did. Echo Ballad? I love. The spirit responds to the song. Good, good. I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you liked it. I have another for you. What should I do next? My. I stick my into the tape player and press the play button. I don't know this one. Spirit responds to the song. The spirit is right in front of me. Hey, let me listen to the newest. Yes, ma'am. There you go. I stick mine to the tape player and press the play button. Yes, that song was finished. There's a flash of light. I blink and the spirit is gone. Survived. I don't see Hanayomi anymore. She's gone now, Hanayomi. Suzu is back to normal. I bet their mark is gone. Mine, however, still remains. Should we head back? Yeah. So I did everything exactly the same. So I believe this phone starts to ring out of nowhere. It won't stop. It's like it's waiting for someone to answer. I think by using the camera and taking her picture, that's where we go wrong with this one. I think if we do any of the other options, I think she's safe. But since we are trying to do an all-death run, I don't want to. I grab the phone and hear a woman breathing. Immediately, I try to hang up, but my arm won't move. You saw it. You saw it. You saw with your round little eyes. Well, bad little eyes. Get eaten. Sorry, Suzu. I'll save you next time. There are noises coming from the phone, like someone stuffing their cheeks with gum. The phone goes dead. I can move freely again. I blot out of the booth. I bolt out of the booth. And there is an eyeball. Right where Suzu had collapsed is a single bloodied eyeball staring at me. Poor girl. And she had sympathy and everything for the Yuri? Yokai? I'm not sure which one she's supposed to be technically. I think a Yuri because it's like a singular person that had such a traumatic event, not like a accumulation of multiple people's like feelings. I think the yokai is the dog and the Yuri is the bride. That's my suspect, but I'm not 100% sure. Welcome back, Mr. Bilicium. It's thanks to you that my mark is finally gone. Too bad I didn't get to do too much. I've read a ton of comics about exorcism, so I thought I could help. By the way, where's Suzu? So yeah, the thing about that is, right, I'm doing a death run, so I really need everyone that can die to die. Really sorry about that. No way, you're lying. No, I'm not. I'm a YouTuber and I have a channel, so this is kind of the thing I do. Damn it. Why did you? Why? Why would you let her? No, Suzu. Eda crumbles to the floor. His sobs echo off the walls. Sorry about that. I await your return, Lord Bilicium. It appears that you overcame your fear and destroyed the spirit, but there was another victim. The fact that you survived is at least a small mercy. It may seem cold, but please do not be overcome with regret. You're just loving this, aren't you? I'm sure you are. That's not comforting at all, Mary. That's very inappropriate, Mary. I know you're a doll, but like, that's really rude. Anyways, everything is going to be exactly the same for this. So you all saw this once before. I'm going to skip ahead to the next one. So I will see you at the next battle then. Yeah. All right. See you there. All right, so I've brought you guys back for Mrs. Zoo, or Miss Zoo's Battle Royale. And unfortunately, it seems like we are going to have to sacrifice the beloved, beautiful idol. She is going to be the next victim, which is sad because she is such an optimistic little being. But such is the way of things. Miss Zoo smiles and leaps forward the second she sees us come out of the locker. Clearly, we did not catch her off guard. She caught us off guard. So we want to use office trash and the charm to distract her, I think. Bilicium holds up the office trash. Aya holds Aizen Azura's charm. It wasn't effective. Great, Azura, give it back. Miss Zoo glares daggers at me and screams, her mouth dripping with blood. It wasn't effective. I hold up the garbage bag in front of us and I endure the fierce kick by cushioning the blow. Thankfully, that is going to protect us. Her arm snakes hiss, threatening us. Alright, now we want to use that and matches. Yes. Miss Zoo stretches out her snake arms. It wasn't effective. The snakes are confused by the mass of flame that are unable to aim. Beautiful, beautiful. Alright, we want to use the hatchet and carp, because she is a little piggy at the end of the day. Bilicium slashes the hatchet. The snakes wrap around my arm as I swing and stop my attack. I looks for something to play the song. Miss Zoo is stuck in place. We can get to the piano now. Ai's fingers dance over the keys. And in the last time I clicked this button really quickly, so we didn't get to hear the song. So this time I'm going to let it play out. Ah, so peaceful and nice compared to the music we were listening to. All right, back to the battle. Miss Sue stiffens as if she's paralyzed. Miss Sue is weakened. All right, now, this time, we don't want to set Eisen on fire. We want to do what exactly? Okay. So we are going to use the megaphone. And let's do the hammer. Bilicium uses the megaphone and tries to yell. I yell as loud as I can into the megaphone. Miss Sue's entire body convulses. Like a puppet with cut strings, pieces of her body turn into lumps and fall into the floor. All that's left is the horrible stench of bodily fluid and blood hanging in the air. Gross. She was just falling apart. I don't sense Miss Sue anymore. Did we do it? Eye is back to normal. Her mark is probably gone. But mine's not. No, no. Mine will remain with me forever. The look on my face is probably obvious. Eye looks at me apologetically. I've gotten used to it by now. In fact, I'm so used to it that I just know that this is going to be a failed run. Mr. Bilicium. Anyway, let's have you die off so we can get on to the next one, shall we? There's a folded paper on the ground where Miss Sue vanished. I open it and find it is an old map, shining the flashlight on it. The first word that I can see is army. Is this what Miss Haru said was stolen from her? Yes, it is. And we are going to take it back to her so we can go down into this army place. It's going to be horrible. It's going to suck a lot. Oh, wait a second. What is it? I want to bring that sheet music, a reminder of my music beating evil. You know, this would make a great inspiration for a new song. I kind of don't want to linger here. Yeah, I'll just be 2 secs. Hey. I dashes back inside the room before I can say anything in reply. Ah, geez. Well, there she goes dying on me. She totally does whatever she wants. Christy was the same way. Is this what happens when you become famous? No, I'm being unfair. Especially since I'm killing them all off. So, you know. Should be much nicer to them. The door slides closed. I reach out with my right hand to open it. Ooh, I've got thunder again. And my mark burns in pain. I tug at the door to open it. But it won't open. What's happening? No way. I slam into the door over and over, trying to break it down, but it doesn't budge an inch. I've been around spirits enough by now, and something supernatural is at work here. I feel overwhelmingly powerless, like I'm trying to destroy a steel door with my hands, but I keep pounding on it with my fists. I'm so sorry that I had to kill you. The door slides open on its own suddenly. I stumble into the room as if I'm being pulled in. I knew the moment I heard her scream, but to actually see it in front of me, whatever scrap of resolve I'd held on to has now vanished into the night. The pale flesh and organs scattered about. Only a few limbs remain in a pool of blood. Her soft skin, her bubbly, innocent smile. Did the nest of snakes devour her? Or the spirit we thought we'd killed?
The grief rises up in me like a tremendous, violent storm. I drag my useless body out of the school and get into the car. I desperately want to be far away from this school, as far as possible. Yeah, she's probably one that hurts the most because she was such a charismatic character. I would say Mo also was pretty hard because I felt quite attached to her. I managed to regain some calm on the walk from the garage to the entrance hall. Now that Mary is gone, I need to keep it together. Oh, welcome back. I believe I must thank you. My mark has indeed vanished. I still have mine, though. I mean, not that I believe that that's going to kill me or anything. It doesn't bother me at all. Uh-huh. By the way, where is Miss I? I couldn't protect her. Oh. Well, thank goodness you at least were able to make it back safely. That's all Yasuka says. But her eyes betray how she really feels. They are filled with deep sadness. Poor girl. But being sad over it won't bring her back. Come on, shake it off. On the other hand, Haru seems totally fine. She probably doesn't care much about people other than herself. More importantly, Mr. Bilicium, did Sakawa have anything on her? You mean this? I pulled the old map out of my bag. Yes, that's it. It's an important family heirloom. Haru snatches the map out of my hands without even so much as a thank you. Oh, I guess you do deserve a reward. Have this instead. She takes a purple notebook from her coat. The color's different, but the design matches the red notebook we found in the shelter. It's Sakawa's diary. It was in her room. It looks like she was still sane when she wrote in it. I take the notebook from her. It seems Miss Zhu was interested in that map of yours, Miss Haru. Could you tell us more about it? No. It's basically just a treasure map. Alright, everything looks pretty much the same, so... The clock begins to chime. It's almost dawn. Everyone should go get some sleep. You can use any room on the second floor. Thank you, that will be lovely. Also, Yasuka, you must leave the mansion tomorrow. There's no need for you to stay here now that your mark is gone. Oh dear. Are you telling me to leave and Miss Haru, you and Miss Haru here by yourselves? Please don't joke. Saya specifically requested my assistance. I'm grateful, really, but those who have escaped the mark should return to their normal lives. That's the dying wish of Saya Kujo and Mary's as well. But, Yasuka, I'd like you to help me in another way. I'm sure you know other people in the supernatural phenomenon field. Can you research the mark with your knowledge? Alright, so what I was saying is I think it's all pretty much the same. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't cutting out anything new. She stares at me silently. Fine. I'll leave the legwork to you, young. I'll do what I can to help. Alright, so I will cut this out and I will see you in the next fight, which is going to be the Cannon Soldier, I do believe, right? Miss Zhu, then Cannon Soldier. I think that's how that goes. Alright, so I will see you there. All right, we are back for the Cannon Soldier. I tried to kind of speed through it as quickly as I could. I feel like this is probably one of the shorter chapters in the whole game. So with this one, we already know how to do it bad, so we're basically just repeating what we did before. Yes. Same thing with Hanayomi, where we already knew the bad ending, but I want it to be 100% bad endings just to see if there's anything special that you're given for doing that. I'm not necessarily a completionist, but I don't know. I felt like it would be fun to do for this video, or for this palm pistol. There we go. Yes. It'd be fun to do for this series, just because we did get kind of an incomplete ending anyways. And I think what I will do is I will either add to the end of this the good ending if you successfully save everyone, or I will do a completely separate episode. A ranged sword? Kagura bells? Yes. Or I'll add it to the end of this one. I just haven't decided how I want to go about that. Because I don't think there's too much to really see in all the fights when you successfully defeat them, besides the fact that, like, the person just doesn't die. So I really just have these two options. Yes. Yes. We've got our savior. Large chisel. I found it in the room in the mansion. I understand everything now. So yeah, I might just add the end for all good endings to the end of this. It's kind of what I'm thinking we'll do, just because, like I said, I don't think that there's really any reason to... Right eye, left eye, between the eyes, right ear. Let's just do between the eyes again, because we know that's bad. I think it's the right ear is the good one, because you hear the voice in the right ear. So I don't want to mistake that and accidentally do the right one, the correct one. Yeah. The statue stopped moving and collapses. It's stopped, right? So, it seems so. I don't got the mark anymore, so there's no doubt about it. Once again, I am the only one who is still cursed. Glad I made it in the nick of time. If my legs weren't in such good shape, it would have been over for us. Thanks for saving us, but you know that was pretty reckless. I thought I said it was dangerous for a group of mark bearers to go somewhere haunted. Ah, yeah, you did mention something like that when I was eating. Completely slipped my mind. Tell us, old man, what happened at that mansion? Not quite sure myself, but I'll tell you what I know. After you left, I wandered the place looking for something to eat. My mark hurt like hell right by that room. I slipped inside and found a bunch of chisels and things. That room. You must mean that room I found. I was kind of out of it because of the mark at that point. But I noticed one of the chisels was glowing all weird with a dark light. I knew right away it was hiding something awesome. What made you decide that you had to bring the chisel here? You seemed sure it'd be effective against the cannon soldier. I heard a voice when I picked it up. It reminded me of a lady, sorta. It said, to bring the chisel to you. And that's when it hit me. It was what I'd been looking for. Oh, that thing you mentioned in the car. The heart of the curse that created the spirit. Exactly that. So I hoofed it over to give it to you. When I looked through that room before, Yasuka said that the Kujo family used to create Buddha statues a long time ago. It's possible that chisel was used to create the statue that became the cannon soldier. I don't know what that voice was that he's heard. Probably something like the mysterious voice that guided me before. You know, I haven't heard it in a while. And that's what happened. So, we heading back to the mansion then, Bilicium? For one, I'm hungry, but I bet Damien's worried too. I left without saying a word after all. Yeah. Searching for the documents on the mark, carting all the statues out. It'll take more than a day or two to do all that. We should go back to the mansion and figure out what to do next. What? We're leaving already? I want to examine this place. I glance at the statue fall into the floor. Sorry, but you'll have to do that another time. Ah! No! I want to kill myself. Alright. Here's the thing. We're gonna let this happen. Just this twice. I would say once, but it'll be the second time, unfortunately. But moving forward, none of this. None of these shenanigans. My light goes out. My flashlight blinks out. I hear voices echoing. The passage reverberates with sinister chanting, like groans from hell. This chanting. It's the cannon soldier. It's calling to Haru. Cannon soldier, great Azura. It's mine. No one can have it. All mine. Hey, Haru, knock it off. Hold on, that's dangerous. It's still... She lowers herself next to the statue. She cradles its head lovingly in her arms. Oh, great Azura. 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 Azura, Azura, Azura. Azura, Azura, Azura. I don't know. I'm just going with it. Like a reply to Haru's whisper, a voice echoes. One I shouldn't be able to hear. Welcome back. The cannon soldier stands up, raises a long arm, and decapitates. Fresh blood sprays everywhere as her head rolls along the floor. The cannon soldier grabs Haru's head and body, still dripping blood. I'm sorry, Haru. I wish I didn't have to kill you twice. And vanishes into the darkness. Banshee and I are frozen in fear. All we can do is stare. Alright, so we saw all of this, so I will bring you back for the finale. I'm very excited to see how it goes. Oh, we made it! So, you guys are all probably only an hour or so in, but for me, it has taken almost 12 hours to finally get to this place. It's been kind of a wild ride trying to kill everyone off, really. But I wanted to bring you back for the finale, and let's see if we get any kind of a different ending, yeah? It seems she has no intentions of hiding her presence any longer. New info was added to the spirit file. Wonderful. Let's talk to Mary. Hello, Mary. It's been a while. Almost precisely 12 hours. Wow. So we meet again. Mary's voice is soft. I know now, behind those words is hidden an intense lust for blood. You came back to life rather quickly. You gave me nearly a whole day, more than enough time. I admit that rabbit attacks surprised me, but unexpected events can themselves be rather enjoyable. When I had brought Mary to the 8th shrine, we caught sight of the rabbit there. It might have suspected Mary's true nature. That rabbit, its great love for you, pushed it into recklessness. What was that rabbit really? Determine that for yourself. Who are you? Know that, and the answer will come, though it is impossible so long as you bear the mark I gave you. Mary gave me the mark. I had a hunch, but hearing it from her lips fills me with dread. Just what are you trying to accomplish? Dragging the living to the depths of despair before killing them. I believe I explained that it is a spirit's utmost desire and joy, and I had your cooperation with achieving that. Cooperate? That's ridiculous. Oh, have you not realized yet? You did bring me those pathetic mark bearers directly to the spirits, did you not? They feared the spirit's existence, trembled in the face of death, the brief joy of their survival only to be crushed like miserable ants. I savored the taste of the fear and despair, most delicious. You had all of us help you, just to terrify the mark bearers even more? Clearly. I could have waited for the curse to complete if I only wanted them dead. That is not the only lie. Mark bearers must stay in small groups. Do not contact outsiders. All my instructions were to drive you into a state of emergency, and not once did you doubt me. I bet she's telling me all of this because she wants me terrified with how hopeless the situation I find myself is in. I'm frozen in place, and I know my face must be pale as death. She must be loving this. Don't tell me you created all those spirits just to accomplish that? Indeed. When Lady Christie believed divine wrath was the cause of the mark, I had never been more amused. Her foolishness was so delightful, I just had to come along with you. So you lied? Of course. How could a pile of broken statues possibly do anything? I could be imagining it, but I feel like she hesitated for a moment there. "50 years ago, I was sealed away by the head of the Cujo family. I awoke here 5 years ago. At the time, I was still unable to speak and communicate, but it seems my awakening alone caused a number of ripples. Those who died unfortunate deaths on cursed land became monstrous spirits. The H elementary abuse, the honeybee mass suicide, Sekko's assault and suicide, they all happened 5 years ago. I finally regained my full power at little over a month ago. Then the Buddha statue connected to me 50 years ago began moving. The woman killed by the statue was also influenced by my power. That must be the cannon soldier and Zakawa. Zakawa believed it was divine oracle from the soldier, when it really had been Mary. She did as the great Azra said and transformed herself into Misu. Once my strength returned, I again bestowed my power on spirits. It connects humans to me and manipulates them into a panic. The mark. I know you've been toying with us, but well, was there really a need to make us be connected to you in some way? Of course. By being in direct contact with you, I could taste your fear. Even now, are you scared of me, Lord Bilicium?
I'm just going to say yes, because last time we stayed silent, I wouldn't say no because she would just be like, haha, you lying, I can tell. So I'm just going to be like, yes. An honest reply. Her porcelain face cracks. Ever since you declared that you would fight the mark. Well, I had to. You kind of forced me into that because you just let me die. I know you've been very eager. Over the past 10 days, I have tasted your fear through the mark, thick and syrupy, as sweet as honey. Each savored morsel made me want to smash you to pieces. But I waited. I am not so foolish as to kill a goose that lays golden eggs. Ah, but I cannot take it anymore. Like crushing a ripe fruit and sipping its juices, I want to break you down and savor your sweet fear. Yes, yes, yes. We've all heard this before. All right, Mary. Let's see what happens when I've killed everyone, literally. My thoughts blur together suddenly. What happens to a mark bearer right before dawn? I've seen it many times. Is that what's happening to me now? Lord Bilicium, wait for me. I'll kill. I can hear Mary stand up from the sofa. At this rate, the rabbit's fate will be mine too. I have to run away. Check within the red in the room. In my room. Something whispers in my ear. That's right, the voice. But what does my room mean? Focus. Who does that voice belong to? Yasuka? She said it was someone who loved me. Alright, I'm gonna pick the correct answers again because I want to get to the end and see how that all turns out. Mary's coming closer. Where should I run? I should run to my sister's room. Saya, save me! I sprint at full speed up the stairs and fly into Saya's room. Safe! Much like the entrance hall, it is dark. The voice said check within the red in my room. Is something there? But what should I look? Where should I look? Floor. Saya Kujo's bloodstain is still on the floor. It's obviously dried by this point in time. There might be something lying on top of it. I can't be sure, and it's too dark. Nothing was there the last time I was here. Picking it up, I discover that it's a small pouch. Inside is a hard, thin object. I move over to the moonlight to see it better. There we go. We got it. It can't be. Is this a Nijibitsu? Oh, there's hair on his feet. I didn't notice that detail before. I noticed that he was headless and all the blood, but I didn't notice the hair wrapped around like his ankles and feet. The impurity, it hasn't been exorcised yet. I instinctively know the instant I see it. My mind is suddenly flooded with all of my memories of the Ninjabitsu, one after another. 50 years ago, the head of the Kujo family used this to seal Mary's power. He put the Ninjabitsu inside her to seal her. Then, about a month ago, someone took it out. That person was me. Because of that, Mary regained her powers. The Ninjabitsu in my hand looks exactly as it did back then, full of impurity. Impurity that built up from sealing Mary's power for 50 years. Alright. I don't need to read all this out. I am going to skip ahead. The door to the adjacent room opens. Mary must be looking for me. But she can sense the presence of mark bearers. What's going on? Wait, is it possible that Saya's blood is protecting me? Blood? Her blood?
Bring it to where I met my end. The voice whispers in my ear again. If this isn't where the voice's owner died, they must have met their end elsewhere. There's only one other place. While Mary is in the room next door, I sprint down to the entrance hall. I make a beeline to Mary's sofa, the spot where the rabbit died. The voice that spoke to me and helped me every time the spirit was closing in. If Saya was working through anything, it must have been that rabbit. Sensing something, I look down at my hand. There's no hair around his ankles anymore. Hooray! The impurity is gone. Is this what you've been telling me, Saya? I speak to the departed woman who's guided me as I struggled without memory. Put the Nijibitsu, the source of the doll's curse, press it to the black mark. Then the whispers stop. The floorboards creak ominously. I raise my head to the staircase, rising into the darkness before me. A dark figure stands on the landing. I found you. Yeah, you did. But I also wasn't hiding, so, we weren't playing hide and seek, really. The mark scorches me. My head goes blank. Mary coming closer. My body won't listen to me. Ah, Lord Bilicium. Mary closes her hands around my neck. She's killing me. Yep. We've been here before. She tries this every once in a while. I squeeze the Nijibitsu, and the fog that impeded my thoughts lifts. It's still a struggle to think. I should be able to move my arm now. Put the Nijibitsu on the source of the curse. I only have one chance. Where should I stick the Nijibitsu? Put it in her mouth. Right arm. I manage to drag my impossibly heavy arm and stick the Nijibitsu in Mary's right arm. She's hiding it. But I'm sure that's where the black mark was. Marks bloom on Mary, one after another. They're all the color of blood. It's like they're the curse of those she killed. Her is so much better than mine will ever be. Ha ha! Take that, doll. Doll face. Baby doll. Mary shatters into dust. Yeah, she did. Did I really do it? I hesitantly look down at my right arm. We did it! The mark is gone. I did it. I finally did it! I have to say it out loud to convince myself. A victory at this expense of Saya and the mark bearers' lives. I can't claim it's all over, but there's no harm in being relieved for now. I mean, there's a little bit of harm was caused. There was a lot of harm, actually. The fog clouding my head clears away. My memories slowly return to me. All right, I'm going to cut a bunch of this out as well. And I will bring everyone back for the very final bits. Oh. So in the last time, I was like, it had to be done. So this time I'm going to say, I can't forgive him. because I feel it's appropriate since we lost so many lives this time. Ever since I lost my memories, I've lived as chaos Bilicium. My blood boils at what Masamune Kujo did. Because what I did was so much better. Yeah, about that. Maybe not. Two months have passed. The occasional cool breeze signals that summer is almost over. I've spent my time putting the case of the mark to rest as best I can. I put Saya to rest by burying the rabbit and contacting the surviving mark bearers. Putting the Buddha statue in places of honor was also one of those tasks. They weren't connected to the mark after all, but I couldn't just leave them there. Plus, there was no way Christie'd keep quiet about the statues. So with her guidance and Yasuka and Damon and Banshee's help, I carried the broken statues out of the shelter and returned them to H Shrine. In the process, I discovered that the cannon soldier was nowhere to be found. Haru's body is also missing. Where'd they go? It remains a mystery. By now, my memory has completely returned, but I still can't think of myself as Masamune Kujo. My memories of the past feel more like I'm reading someone else's biography. Legally, I am Masamune. I inherited Kujo Mansion. I'm not sure how to feel about it, but I think I'll consider it a way to pay Saya back for saving me. About Masamune Kujo. He became head of the Kujos 7 years ago. Scholarly, inclined, and introverted, he wasn't the type to be very social. He left all public appearance to Saya Kujo, so not many knew what he looked like. The only photos of him are from small local newspapers. Masamune accidentally uncovered Mary in the family warehouse 5 years ago. That discovery changed his life. I traveled extensively abroad in order to learn more about Mary. In one country, I got into an accident and fell into a coma for half a year. Even worse, that country proceeded to treat me as an unidentified traveler. I don't know if that was merely my terrible luck or if Mary's curse had something to do with it. When I was finally able to contact home, Saya had already become the new head. The rest was as the tape said. I had no idea that Mary's power was far greater than I had imagined. All of my efforts to suppress her power were completely useless. My memories unraveled faster than I thought. How did Mary come to be in the first place? One theory says a doll maker in the 19th century used magic to create her. Another says a spirit of a young girl who died prematurely took up residence in the doll. In the end, it's still a mystery. No one knows what happened to create a doll like that. We only know that each of Mary's owners died tragic deaths. Shortly after the turn of the 20th century, she came to be owned by the head of the Kujos. He either didn't know of the curse or simply didn't believe it. Disaster began to befall the family. Mary gained enough power to become sentient and produce spirits. Then the tragedy in the shelter happened. The seething grudges of the experiment's victims and the Buddha statues. They may have triggered her awakening. Whatever Mary's true identity is, the fact remains she altered many people's fates, mine and the mark bearers included. Speaking of, an update on the surviving mark bearers. This is kind of sad. Yoshida is studying every day, like a good little middle schooler. I am so proud of Mashida. We've already seen this, so. I'm going to kind of pop through it quickly. Satoru, he wants to be a private detective. He asked if I wanted to join him. The man has lost his mind. Also, he abandoned me halfway through the mission, so I don't feel like he's a really good partner. Christy, going around spilling all of her dirty laundry to the whole world, and nobody wants to hear it. Etta, sadly, still without a girlfriend. Ah, poor Neat. One day, he may be employed and find a girlfriend. But that day is not today. Yasuka is still working as a fortune teller, predicting everyone's horrible fates, and nobody wants to hear it. This doctor, somehow, who has been like the most deathly ill person on the planet, is still alive even after going underground, getting hypothermia, and all that good stuff. Banshee. Banshee is actually my great-grandfather, and he decided to become homeless because he didn't want to deal with the curse. Now y'all know. All the mark bearers who became victims, all for the sake of the terror Mary sought. Whenever I remember them, my chest aches, and I can't help but think, is it possible? Do they bear a dark grudge against me for surviving? I'm so sorry. How many times have I murmured that useless and meaningless apology? But I become more determined each time. All I can do now is make sure that that tragedy never happens again. For that, I need to hurry my preparations for putting the Nijibitsu inside Mary. The Nijibitsu alone won't be enough to continue sealing her powers in the years to come. I must prepare extra spiritual measures. It's taken a long time to get those ready, but today I have finally finished. Did the mansion just lose power? What's going on? What is this feeling? My arm is burning. Why is the mark? What's happening? Calm down. I need to calm down. First, I need to get a grasp on my situation. That's how I survived this long. A horribly familiar noise echoes in the hall. There you are. Oh, so it's exactly the same. All right, well, now we know. But also we got to see all of the failed scenes, so that's quite exciting. All right, so I will end this here, and I do hope that you all enjoyed. I hope you'll join me for the next installment, which is going to be NG. But until then, and as always, do take care, everyone.